Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be breaking down one of the tracks off my recent EP called Change of Heart, and this track is called Soulsuccer. So I think I'm just going to. Oh, no, I'm not going to play through the whole track first because some of the tracks are like 6 minutes long. So, yeah, if you want to hear the full track, just go look up Soulsuccer by Astro Rain, or, it's on my YouTube channel, so all you have to do is click my name and it should be right there pretty much. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm just gonna go like top to bottom pretty much, just so I don't lose track of where I'm at. So I will get through everything and hopefully I remember everything, but there will probably be some frozen elements. Not so much in this track, but more in other tracks. And I may not remember how to do those. Alright, so let's start with this thing. Literally just a sample. Also another sample. Literally no processing on that. Usually I'll, let's see. EQ8. Usually I'll at least do like something like that. But maybe no, it's on the drum bus, so I couldn't have done that. So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting that I literally did no processing on that. Though I guess the theme of this track is kind of more raw and less processed than most of the tracks that I make, so I guess that is fitting that I did no processing on that. This is the kick, which I feel like my kicks are kind of weird. Like they have kind of a weird frequency range and tail compared to some other kicks, or compared to a lot of kicks really, but I feel like they work for my stuff. That's a pretty hefty OTT amount for a kick. And that's like, you usually don't want to be boosting the boominess of a kick that much, but I felt like it worked for this track. As for the actual kick sample, that's how it sounds with no processing. I think I made this in Kick 2. I can't remember who it's by. Like, is it by Sonic Academy? Maybe. But yeah, the plugin Kick 2 is really great. More for beginners. Like, it's a really good like introduction to synthesizing drums. Something like Serum or Operator will give you a lot more freedom, though. So that's the snare. Looks like there's 3 snares laid here. Let's go through them one by one. Whew, thought my project was crashing. Oh yeah, the Mr. Bill snare generator. This is amazing. Like, just go download it really. I can't remember if it's free or if it requires a subscription to Mr. Bill's website, but either way it's worth going to download it, so you can just like how fucking sick is that? Yeah. Donk. Mr. Bill loves his disperser type stuff. There would not be a disperser in this because it's all just stock Ableton stuff, but I know Mr. Bill does love disperser. Yeah, that's just another sample. That's just another sample, so yeah. And without the processing, maybe I should have lowered the distortion or the saturation a bit, because it is a bit harsh, hey? Maybe something like that. Yeah. Shit. Now I want to redo the track, but whatever. Oh, and here's something I want to go over actually. I don't think I've seen anyone else do this. So what I do for my side chaining is Well, first of all, I use the Live 8 compressor, which I guess I should put a link to that in the description because it seems to be pretty hard to get. Like, you pretty much have to know someone who has it, I guess. And I think I only have it because I saw a YouTube video where someone was like, I'll put a link in the description. But the reason I use the Live 8 compressor is because there's no click when it ducks. If you've sidechained in Ableton before, you know that when the sidechain hits, there's an annoying click, and it actually can be audible in the final track. With the Live 8 compressor, that just doesn't exist. So yeah, that's how I sidechain. Or that's what I use to sidechain rather. And then how I sidechain is I have an SC trigger. So I put my kick in a group and I put my snare in a group. And in each group, there is just a short hit. It can literally be any sample, right? But I just like using the ones with the word click on them. I don't know. I guess because when I first started doing it, I was looking for short samples because I didn't know you could do this. But yeah, take literally any sample, make this as short as it can be, and then use that as your sidechain trigger rather than the actual kick. So this means so that like whenever your kick hits, it's sending trigger from this very short click. And then you just like mute the click. And so what that allows you to do is completely shape your sidechain with the compressor rather than having to rely on the shape of your kick or your snare or whatever it may be. So yeah, so that's how quick the sidechain is. And then I can just shape it however I want. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then, you know, use the gain and the ratio. I honestly don't even need to use the EQ button. I guess you could, but you've already got so much control over it this way that it's just not necessary. And yeah, if you've ever just wanted like the shortest sidechain, like shortest, most transparent sidechain possible, this is definitely the way to do it. And this also means that you don't have to go drawing in your own separate sidechain notes, you know? Like, I'll see a lot of people do this, right? They'll make a new MIDI track, operator, and then they do that, and then they copy that, copy all the MIDI, right? But like, what's the point of that when you can just do it in here? And like, if you want, you can use operator instead of this sample. So yeah, hopefully that explained that well, because I'm very passionate about that sidechain method. Like, you know, whatever works for you is obviously the best option. But you know, I've just gone through like every sidechain method that I could ever find or think of, and this has been the one that's served me the best. So let's go into the next element here. That's just a build kick. Just a sample, another sample with zero processing, and same for this build snare as well. What even are these samples? Dude, I think these samples are literally just like, I pressed Control F, typed in kick, and then looked through all results, rather than going to any specific packs. Like, that's pretty much what this whole track is. Same goes for the basses as well. They're just like random Foley and shit. Hat. Oh, so this is interesting. I don't know why I decided to do this, but I made a hat in fucking Phase Plant. And yeah, that's like end of story. I've got like filter, pitch shifter, and compressor on there. And then it's just a noise oscillator, and then an actual hat sample. So I guess I didn't completely make this hat, but it was synthesized to an extent. I'm curious how it sounds if I turn the sample off. Okay, so the sample is just adding like that high end. Yeah. And then I was lazy, I guess, so I used an arpeggiator to change the hat pattern rather than actually drawing it. Yeah, I love that. Trap hats. So it's actually the same sample as the one that's in Phase Plant, but I guess for this I didn't want there to be any like high mids at all. See, it's pretty much just like there's a little bit down here in at 1.4k hertz, but most of it is up at 12k. This is just an almond break sample. Yo, I need a fucking... I need to fucking save this because I want to use that again. I'm having a hard time lately finding almond break samples that actually fit well in my tracks. Like I've got thousands, maybe not thousands, but at least hundreds of almond break samples, and I don't know, it's just hard to find ones that fit. This ride, just another unprocessed sample. Oh, I forgot. Okay, so I think this was like some kind of manipulation of this almond break sample. I got no idea what the fuck I did to it though. So yeah, sorry about it. But yeah, after I fucked it up, let's see how it sounds without the processing actually. Okay, yeah, so I was just pretty much adding some more transients and space to it with the transient shaping enhance preset for drum bus. That's really nice. Sometimes I use OTT with max percentage to enhance transients, but if I feel like OTT is going to ruin the sound, then transient shaping enhance is also good. But I've also been using KHS transient shaper a lot lately. Okay, that's another... It looks like it's a random sample, but I think I might have made this one. Regardless, I do not remember how that was made. It might have just been a another like resampling of the almond break. Just another sample, yeah. Oh, that's a Mr. Bill sample. Fucking Mr. Bill is all over this track, eh? Just some splice vocals. More splice. I'm pretty sure all of this is splice. You're a monster. And then there's like one vocal that I recorded. It's this one. Now there's obviously quite a bit of background noise in that, which these days if I recorded that, I would open up RX7 and clean it up a bit, but you know, I feel like most people aren't going to notice that in the context of the actual song. Oh, I also had a de-esser on here, but I guess I don't have that plugin anymore. Now let's just go through these vocals and see if I did anything interesting. Nectar, great plugin. And then I have this LA2A emulation. I definitely... Okay, I need to fucking authorize that plugin suite again. Even though I don't really use it anymore. Some nice frequency shifting there. You know, it's just like in the background, but it still adds something. Valhalla Room, great reverb. Not much on there, nothing on there. Basic EQing. Just getting rid of some lures. Huh. Interesting that I did these. I didn't think this sample was that harsh.
You're a monster. You're a monster. You're a monster.
Yeah, I don't feel like that EQ is really necessary. Oh, I haven't had this enabled. Hold on, let me check now.
You're a monster. You're a monster.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm going to turn that back off just because you're probably not listening on the same headphones as me, and it would be annoying to be listening through an EQ profile that is not meant for your headphones. That is just some kind of vocal resampling. Same with that. And these are all like drenched in reverb, but I've got them sent to a reverb bus, or reverb return, sorry. Just so that I don't mess up with the actual original signal. And yeah. Alright, so let's jump into the meaty stuff, which is the basses. I love these fucking 808s with high frequency content. Though it does seem like there is something different. I don't think this is how it actually sounds in the final version. There might be a plugin. No? I'm not sure why it sounds different, but I'm pretty sure it does. Anyway, this 808, as you can see, it is named AR_808. That means it was made by me, and that means that it is available for download on, I'm pretty sure it's gumroad.com/astrorain. Let me just make sure. Yep, gumroad.com/astrorain. There's also my, well, you can buy my EP there, and you can buy the project files for the EP, aka this one plus 3 others. And you can also buy like a sample pack that I made out of the EP. So what that is instead of having to dig through the project files and save everything as a sample, I've just done that for you, except for the stuff that I'm not allowed to redistribute, obviously. But yeah, the whole reason I brought this up in the first place is AstroRain's 808 samples. You can buy it for $5, or you can use code 8082020 and get it for free. So yeah, check that out. And sorry about all the tabs. Alright, so Fab Filter Saturn. Just doing some low... No. Jesus, that is a lot. Fucking hell. Warm tape, and then just maxed out drive. I'm pretty sure. Oh, and I messed with the tones as well, I believe. Cut off at 200 and 1500. Alright, so Fab Filter Saturn and AR AstroRain 808 sample. Mastering glue compressor preset catch peaks. It is not actually doing anything. Wait, what the fuck? That sounds sick. I mean, it's missing the punch, obviously. Anyway. Sometimes it's cool to just mess around with presets. And then I don't really, I still do this sometimes. But yeah, just splitting the frequency bands up so I can keep a clean sub and fuck up the top. That sounds better. Much better. So yeah, low, I've just got a simple boost. That's probably not really necessary. And on the highs, obviously that's just from the high-low split rack, cutting out the lows into some erosion, which is great for adding that grit to pretty much any sound really, but specifically 808s. You know, because a lot of people have that problem where you can't hear an 808 on a phone speaker. So if you do this, you'll definitely be able to hear it. And kind of just the way the brain works, if you can hear a bass, you kind of also like feel it. Like, it's weird. And then saturated, just to kind of like make the erosion less sparse. And just bring it out really nicely. Yeah, I don't really know how to articulate that well, but just saturation after erosion is a really nice combo. And then 808, because I'm an idiot. Damn. I should have done that. Oh, it fucks up the transient so much though. I hate that balancing act, man. Yeah, I've messed up something along the lines where like the transients are just clicks now. But anyway, you get the idea. Empty MIDI track, nice. Alright, so let's see what the sample on this is. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's just a random sample. So what I did for the basses on this track, not sure about all of them, but a few of them, is I just, you know, I think I just searched Foley, or like I opened up a Foley sample pack, found something with some tonality. What the fuck, cymatics? Okay, dude. Actually, I might have looked for percussion. Tonal perk. Oh my lord. Okay. I don't know what I looked for, either Foley or percussion. But anyway, I found some random samples, dragged them into Serum, and then just made some really simple basses off that. I don't really use this filter much, but I did on this track. Yeah, and all these bass presets are included in the sample pack. Sample pack includes samples, presets, and racks. That's pretty pog champion, gamers. I want to die. That hyperdimension is not adding much, as you can see. It's only at 9%. It's just making it sound a tad dirtier. That distortion is doing quite a bit though. I love my diode distortion. Actually, I'm curious if I do this, what's going to happen? That's cool. Okay, it's no, it doesn't work in this track, but yeah. Low boost. I guess I didn't have a dedicated sub on this track, did I? No, so all my sub is coming from... Yeah, wow, oh my god. Oh my god, basses with subs. can't believe I actually named that appropriately. Where's this filtering coming from? There we go. And then I guess I just thought it was a bit too wide, so I lowered that. Oh yeah, this is a really good tip. Let me just open up another utility real quick so I don't mess this one up. So, if you want to mess around with the stereo image of a channel, like if you know there's simply too much on the sides, you don't need to go into like Ozone Imager or something like that. You can either use the MS EQ, but like, what's the point of EQing if all you want to do is remove some sides? So what you do is you open up a utility, and by default, it's set to this width knob, which is absolute trash, right? Let me show you how that sounds. That sounds like shit. Like, if I, sorry, if I go into mono, it's not great. But if you use mid-side mode, see, it retains all the original information that was in the sound. So it's not actually like changing the sound, except for removing or adding whatever you want it to. So if you go 100 mid, that is simply removing the side content rather than summing it all to mono. And then 100 side simply removes all the mid content. And so this allows you to maintain like better phasing in your tracks, because it's not like messing with shit, squashing it all together. It's just like pretty much trimming stuff. Let me go back to the other mode. Now this might sound like it's retaining shit better, but it's all dependent upon the application. And I would say if you're going to use this width knob, instead just get like Ozone Imager, because that'll sound better. But if you've recognized that a track simply has too much side content, then right click this knob, turn on mid side mode, and drag it down a bit. And me personally, I know that this sounds trash and I'm never going to use it, so I changed it over to mid side mode, right clicked here, and saved that as the default preset. Alright, let's move on to the next sound. Actually, like one more thing on this, and that was the fact that there's another OTT. Yeah, next track. Too much stuff here. I'm just gonna minimize it all first. Alright, so table. I don't know. Wait. I think I may have imported a picture of a table into the wavetable section. That might be why it's called table. So you get the idea of the sound. Just some simple LFOs. There's actually quite a lot of LFO usage for such a simple sound. Let's disable that. That's essential. That's like kind of essential. I guess it just depends on the flavor of the sound that you want. That's obviously essential because amplitude. Oof. Yeah, sounds good. Alright, effects, what do we got? Distortion again on tube mode this time, just maxed out. Compressor, but surprisingly not on multiband. That's not doing much. And then just some EQ automation, which is something I love doing. Just adds really nice movement to sounds. And this is how it sounds without any post-processing. Well, I guess the Serum effects is post-processing, but still. Saturator with, it looks like I've changed nothing. This is just my default saturator preset. I've got soft clip on because it's really hard to use saturator without soft clip. That's a bit fucky wucky. I guess just the frequency, like, the overall frequency content of the track, I felt like this ridiculous EQ made this bass fit better in the track. Yeah. I mean, I probably overdid it a bit. I probably could have done this. That would have been better, but oh well. You live some, you learn some. I remember I saved this fucking rack called Secret Sauce, but it's not doing fucking shit, hey. Oh, actually it is doing quite a bit. I don't have this plugin anymore. This plugin always causes issues for some reason. And yeah, so it was pretty much just a bunch of saturation and distortion plugins. But I also really like grain delay, so I chucked that in there. Yeah, I'll just open these up real quick. I mean, it's nothing too crazy, but just in case you're curious about any of the settings. And yeah, let's move on to the sub. So yeah, as I said earlier, I don't have a dedicated sub on this track. So this like barely even has any sub. I guess it started out as a sub and then I just never renamed it. But yeah, it's kind of like an old school Massive-esque bass. Very simple sine wave and a square. But then I've got this Serum Filter disc comb 2 LP. I love like the new filters that old mate Dude has added. Everything after band reject is great. Not that there's anything wrong with combs and I don't know, reverb. Okay, well reverb can suck a dick. But yeah, not that there's anything wrong with those filters, but I really love Distortion, so everything that he added recently has been right up my alley. It almost sounds more subby if I disable the sub oscillator. Ah, that's because it's at a higher octave. Damn, that on its own is fucking sick. And yeah, just more distortion. This one's on downsample, just for a different texture to this sound. EQ automation again. Just notching out some things, or one thing. But yeah, it gives an interesting texture when you notch out something and then you automate it, as opposed to always boosting. Because always boosting, you know, shit gets muddy, and then you have to go do a bunch of shit in post to fix it. Whereas if you just like cut something, it still helps to provide that movement, but you don't have to do a bunch of shit after it to like fix up the sound. Okay. Then compressor. Yes, compressor's really bringing out those high, like, artifacty things. And then I've got an auto pan. I believe that's just for like throws. Where's it turning? Oh, it doesn't actually do anything, does it? Yeah. This is a similar EQ. Similarly themed EQ to what I've had throughout most of the track. I feel like instead of putting all these EQs on the basses, it might have been better to just put a Pro MB. Oh, I've got Ozone Dynamics, but I feel like that probably didn't do much in the grand scheme of things. I feel like it would have perhaps been better to put a similarly shaped EQ on the bass bus, and then a bit of dynamic compression, or not dynamic, what's it called? Multiband compression afterwards, rather than having to EQ everything individually, because I feel like if you're going to put pretty much the same shape on every bass track, you may as well put it across the whole bus to make sure it's uniform and make things fit together better. So, Erosion, just adding that fuzz and another EQ. You know, same thing again. I've done this slight bass boost on pretty much all the bass tracks. Why not just do it on the whole bass bus? Drone sound. Oh yeah, it's just a Reese. Yeah, very simple. No post-processing at all. Literally the only reason for that was so that I had some low frequency content during that break. So that covers all the basses, and let's move on to the high elements. Okay, well, I would consider this a bass, but it was in the high pass group, so yeah. And also, it's like chords. I don't know, do you guys call like stacking octaves chords? Because as a guitarist, they're chords to me, but I feel like to most musicians, they're not. This is almost definitely a kick sample imported into Wavetable. That just in FM? Yep. Wow, that's how different it sounds without FM. Holy shit. Hyperdimension is doing quite a bit on this one. That's pretty much making the sound. Well, that plus the FM. And the distortion. Okay, there's a lot that's actually going into this sound. Wow. I think if I were to do this again, I would lower that reverb a bit. It seems like a bit much. But yeah, it's a pretty simple sound. It's just some FM into hyperdimension, distortion, and compression, reverb optional. Interesting EQ here. And then I've got this rack called Alien. This adds some interesting textures. It's also available here at gumroad.com/astrorain. I don't know why the picture's like that. It's definitely big enough to not be blurry. But anyway, add to cart and use code SAVETIME to get it for free. Yeah, that's definitely helping to make the sound as well. And then I've just got a limiter on it because I guess this was made before I found out about how good clipping is. Just so you guys know, clipping is really good for making things not clip, which is funny because, you know, it's named clipping. So a free one like G-Clip, Free Clip, Clip Shifter, they're all free. They're all pretty much the same. I personally like the interface and the lightweightedness of G-Clip the most. And it just, you know, if you've got something that's too loud and you just chuck G-Clip on it, it most of the time will stay the same unless it's like a kick or a sub. Yeah, most of the time the sound will pretty much stay the same, but it won't be fucking your limiters anymore. Yeah, a big problem I used to have was transients were just too loud and they were fucking up my limiters. But yeah, if you chuck a clipper on there, it shaves things off nicely and gives you more headroom. This is a nice little sound that I made in Serum once again. Very simple. Sine wave, saw wave, and a saw sub oscillator. Reverb, compression, delay. Let's see how it sounds with completely no processing. I love how there's just that fucking saw buzz. Oh, that's so dumb. I actually love this sound so much. Huh, it's interesting that I've got this chain here completely just to add some high stuff. And this is a cool trick. I know Valhalla Shimmer essentially does this in itself, but if you don't have Shimmer, then you can use a reverb and then put a pitch shifter after it, and it'll add like more of a spectral or ethereal kind of tone to your delay. Or not delay, reverb. So that's how it sounds without the frequency shifting. And with it. And obviously you can use like an actual pitch shifter rather than a frequency shifter to make sure things are sitting better. And then after that, I've just got a... Oh, I'm doing some self sidechain. Okay, so this is a really good tip. If you want to put quite a bit of reverb on something, but you don't want to muddy it up the whole time, like let's say you have a bass playing and then when it stops playing you want some massive reverb to come in. You don't always have to automate that. You can simply put a sidechain compressor from the original sound after your reverb. So what you do is you make a rack like this. So I've got one dry and then one wet. On the dry, it's completely dry. And on the wet, I've got the reverb. And for now, we'll just omit the frequency shifter because that's not relevant anymore. So yeah, I've got the reverb into the sidechain compressor. Let's see what this sounds like. So yeah, you can see, or you can hear rather, that when the sound is playing, like that, when the actual bass plays, the reverb chain is severely reduced in volume. See, it doesn't like start coming in until like here. So the dry sound, the sound is completely dry for this duration. And then the reverb starts coming in around here. And that's because we've got sidechain compression, sidechained from the original sound, and the sidechain compression is pushing down the reverb until the original sound stops playing. Yeah. As always, like, obviously some people know these things and some people don't know these things. I feel like to me this kind of stuff is pretty simple, but hopefully there's people watching that haven't encountered these kinds of tips yet, because it can be pretty like game changing. Okay, so this is just a splice sample. I'm pretty sure I heard this sample in another song the other day. And it's like pretty much the best church bell sample on Splice. So whilst it sounds amazing, if you want your stuff to be unique, probably don't use these samples. And same goes for these crows. Oh boy, I've heard these fucking crows everywhere. Don't use those either if you want your shit to sound unique. I don't remember how I made this. Well, actually I do. I'm pretty sure I took the church bells and just added a bunch of frequency shifting modulation. Let's see if I can kind of recreate it. Come on. LFO. Yeah, so you get the idea. It's pretty much just this bell plus this frequency shifting, except I had slightly different settings, equals this. And then there's a bunch of them missing. I don't know why they went missing, but they're just going to be the same thing, slightly different resamples of it. Another Mr. Bill sample. Wait, I already talked about that. Oh yeah, so this was just delay. Really cool stuff. And I guess for this, it's delay plus pitch shifted up. I imagine I pitch shifted up like 4 octaves or something. Granulator. Not a massive fan of this plugin or Max for Live device, but it gets the job done, I guess. It looks like I just imported a perk sample, perk stick noise, and then I just automated some settings on the Granulator. And also some auto pan and KHS pitch shifter. The fuck is this? Huh. Despite sounding like trash, it actually is necessary for that part. Man, what the fuck? But yeah, that's obviously just a sample as well. And this is just a sample too. I would have said that I did something to this, but it is labeled FX and it has the word riser in it. So this is probably just how it came. Now, I believe I did some shit to this. No idea what though. And why the plugin, but it is not doing anything. Oh god. Okay, this is a sample that I made a while ago. It kind of just sounds like someone swinging and hitting a tennis ball. This is my proudest sample. If you want it, it's also included in the sample pack. Gumroad.com/astro. Holy shit, I forgot we had so many more instruments to go. This is a long video. Oh my lord. What the? Okay, random sample, sine wave, but with the sync up to like just over halfway. Interesting. I've got FM from whoops. I've got FM from B, but B is still outputting audio, which is something that I do not do often, because when you're FM from something and it's still outputting audio, it tends to get very messy very fast. Wow. But hey, it's obviously essential. Though OSC1 is not so essential. Whoa, that's sick. Anyway, let's move on to the effects. Distortion, sine, fold. I used a lot of different distortion types on this track. Hey, what is it? Tube, dist 1, sine, fold, down sample, and maybe something else. Compressor, not on multiband mode, so that would have been too much. EQ, just automating the frequency of a high shelf. Reverb, probably too much. If I were to do this again, I would probably lower the decay. Yeah. Hyperdimension after all of this. Definitely a big help. And the band reject really makes that sound, hey. Auto pan, I'm not sure if this auto pan is actually... Oh, it is. So that's how I added that wobbliness during that section. It's just with some auto pan. Is Ableton freezing? Well, at least I remember what track I'm up to. If I have to restart. Oh god. Okay. Excuse me. Alright. So this is just that intro thing. Wait, is this a default? Is that a default? I'm not sure if that's a default thing. I assume that's a default thing because I wouldn't have made it. So yeah, if you want that sounds, just search Glock and Pluck. And then on this plugin called Expand, which seems like fucking every weekend it's on sale for $2. You can just copy these settings if you want the same sound, or once again go buy the pack. Actually, I'm not sure if this rack is in the pack since it includes a third-party plugin. So yeah, if you want these settings, just take a screenshot. All I did was change the instruments, none of the actual settings. And then just some delay and Valhalla Room. Oh god, there's weird shit going on now because I've changed stuff. Oh, this is just a resample from the vocals. I probably like reversed, or did I reverse it? No. Oh wait. No, this is a resample from this. It's just like a reverb tail and then I added more reverb to it. I guess I felt like the intro wasn't impactful enough, or I wanted to do an anacrusis, but I forgot to actually do an anacrusis. I don't know. Moving on. Piano. The Maverick Contact, like the default Contact piano, is great if you want some like hard kind of what's the word? Fuck. Not evil, but like you get what I mean. Fucking hard evil-ish piano. Just some velocity on it to humanize it a bit. a lot of people tend to not know about this. Velocity is really great. There's a preset called Add Some Random, which is a good starting point. So if you have some piano or like any organic instrument that is sounding too robotic, you can add some random. It's a great preset, and then use compression to kind of like change the curve of the velocity as well. So yeah, it's great stuff. Let's move on to this saw because the piano is pretty straightforward. This is also pretty straightforward, and it's another sound that's included in the pack. So it's just two saws. One of them has unison up to 3, one of them doesn't. And then it's also a saw oscillator on the sub. Tube distortion with some filtering in pre-mode. Flanger, phaser, and chorus all mixed in at very low amounts. Compressor, not multiband once again, and reverb again. I don't feel like the Serum reverb is necessary. It does like nothing. Auto filter, that's literally just so I can cut the highs when I want to. OTT, we all know what that's about. Just helps things sound a bit more modern, basically. I guess I felt like the lows weren't really impactful enough on this. Even though it's not a bass, I still felt like the lows weren't full enough in this part of the track, so I EQ'd up some lows on it. Wider on 49%. That helps quite a bit. And then this is called Saw just because I duplicated this track and then changed it, but it's actually a fucking triangle. And yeah, that's like, it's pretty much the same thing. There's like some minor differences, I believe. But yeah, basically I made it a bit more. Did I make it more plucky actually? Nope, same pluckiness. It's pretty much the same thing, but just another layer to add some fullness. And yeah, triangle waves are cool sometimes, though I don't use them much. Fuck, I love this bass. That's just like some random sample. Sine again. Oh, again, I'm doing FM from B, but I also have B outputting audio. Oh, that is definitely essential to the sound. And then, yeah, on this, I've got a very fast LFO. That's how it sounds without it. So that is, that LFO is pretty much adding tonality to the sound. Well, not necessarily tonality, but quite a bit of texture. Hyperdimension isn't doing much. A little bit, but not much. Distortion is doing quite a bit on downsample mode again. Flanger, 30% this time, so quite a bit more than the previous sound. Phaser at 80%. Wow. And then multi-band compressor this time. And reverb again. Something that I do like doing is putting reverb before OTT. I know a lot of people will say never to do that, but it's a really cool creative effect that I like doing. And then just soothe, because I guess it had some harsh highs. Just cleans it up a bit. So this is probably the most interesting thing of the track, and it's that I put one of the vocal samples into Serum. Oh. So I've got this LFO on oscillator 1, and the rate is set to 2 bars, which means that the vocal sample will run over the duration of 2 bars, and then it'll start looping again. So that is why it sounds all choppy, because the vocal sample is not usually at the exact duration of 2 bars. So putting vocal samples into Serum or other synthesizers can give you really interesting effects that you would not normally come across in your production. I've also got FM on, but it's not doing anything. And then hyperdimension, distortion. That distortion is helping a lot. Compression again, and reverb. I feel like I've said all that enough times. Bit crushed lead. It's more of a pluck than a lead, but yeah. Sine, square, low pass, plucky envelope, LFO on some filter parameters, distortion, downsample mode, and delay is what makes this sound really. I guess delay and the reverb, but the reverb is coming from the send. But yeah, pretty simple sound, but I do love it quite a bit. Got an auto pan on there, but it never actually gets turned on, so it's not doing anything. Filter cutoff never changes. All of these parameters that I've quote unquote automated aren't actually changing. So that's just how the sound sounds, and then just soothe. That soothe probably wasn't really necessary, but I guess there might have been a frequency that was sticking out on a different monitoring device. That's just a very simple sample with a bunch of saturation. Easiest way to make samples sound different is to add saturation. That's just a cool sample from Splice as well. I believe it's meant for video games and stuff, but it worked in this track. And yeah, that just about covers it. My reference track was the one by Ganja White Knight. I didn't like strictly stick to it. I mostly took inspiration from that for some of the basses and I guess a bit on the drums. But yeah, I wish there was like a chat so that I could have like a Q&A now, but fuck, this is already long enough at just over an hour, so I guess it's a good thing I didn't do that. If you want to hear the track, just click on my name and look through my profile. Obviously, this is on YouTube, but if you want to hear it anywhere else, there'll be a link in the description to my link tree or to the DistroKid link, which from there you can choose whatever platform you'd like to listen to it on. And if there's anything that I didn't cover in enough detail, or I worded something badly, or just any questions that you may have about this track or my production in general, just feel free to chuck them in the comments, because I would love to answer your questions. I'm very passionate about spreading my knowledge. And also, if you have any tips for me, please, like, I love learning shit. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time with another track breakdown. Peace.